ask myself, how did I get myself into this situation? Why me? Why me? Why would this happen to little old me? Well, this is my story. Alyssa had been working for Instacart for a few months now, and one of her favorite regulars was Ella, an elderly woman who always ordered simple things: tea, biscuits, canned soups. Ella will always meet her at the door with a warm, wrinkled smile and a cash tip. "I can't figure out the damn app," Ella always said, her laughter tingling like a faint melody. That night, the order came in from Ella at her usual time. But something was off. The list was much longer than usual, and a message was attached. "Please bring it inside for me. Feeling unwell, thank you." Melissa frowned. Ella had never invited her in before, but it was late and she didn't want to leave the poor woman struggling. Loading the last of the bags into her trunk, she set off towards Ella's old Victorian house, perched at the edge of town. As she pulled into Ella's driveway, the first thing Melissa noticed was that all the lights were off, save for a single flickering bulb on the porch. The house, usually cozy and warm, now loomed in the shadow, its peeling paint and broken shutters looking like the jagged teeth of a mouth waiting to swallow her. She grabbed the bags and made her way to the front door. Knock, knock. No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. Bang, bang, bang. "Ella, it's Melissa. I have your groceries." The door creaked open just a crack. From inside, a hoarse voice called out, "Come in, dear, quickly." Melissa hesitated. Something in that voice was wrong. It sounded like Ella, but not quite. Still, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. Smell hit her first, a pungent mix of mildew and rot that turned her stomach. The entryway was dark, the air unnaturally cold. She looked around, clutching the bags tightly. "Ella?" she called, her voice trembling. A shadow moved at the edge of her vision. She turned sharply, and there was Ella standing at the end of the hallway. But it wasn't the Ella she knew. Her face was pale and waxy, her eyes sunken into hollow sockets, her mouth twisted into a natural grin, exposing teeth stained yellow and brown. Her hands trembled as she pointed towards the basement door. "Run! Run!" Ella whispered, her voice a hiss. "Run while you can, Melissa. Run while you can." Marissa froze, her breath catching her throat. What's going on?" she stammered. Ella's grin widened, spitting her face in an impossible way, her skin scratching as if it would tear. "Run! Run!" she shrieked. Then, as suddenly as she appeared, Ella was gone. Melissa stumbled back, dropping a bag. She wanted to bolt out the door, but something compelled her to stay. A low, rhythmic thundering sound echoed from the basement, like the beating of a heart. Approached the basement door, each step heavier than the last. Her hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob. Slowly, she pushed it open. The stairs were steep and narrow, leading into a pitch blackness. The smell of decay grew stronger. "Ella!" she called out again, her voice barely above a whisper. At the bottom of the stairs, a faint light flickered. She descended cautiously, gripping the rickety railing. And then she saw it. Ella's body lay crumpled on the cold concrete floor, her face frozen in an expression of terror. Blood pooled around her, thick and dark, soaking into the hem of her floral nightgown. Standing over her were two men in ski masks, one holding a crowbar, the other rummaging through a small safe. Melissa let out an involuntary gasp. Both men snapped their heads towards her. "She saw us," one of them growled, stepping towards her with the crowbar raised. Instinct kicked in. Melissa turned and bolted up the stairs, her feet slipping on the worn wooden steps behind her. She heard the men shouting and a heavy thud of boots as they gave chase. She burst into the hallway and slammed the basement door shut, searching for anything to block it. Her eyes landed on a chair. She dragged it over and jammed it onto the doorknob just as the men started pounding on the other side. "Open the door! Open the door, bitch!" one of them roared. Panicked, Melissa ran for the front door, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if the house itself was conspiring to keep her trapped. She looked around frantically and spotted a window in the living room. Without thinking, she grabbed a nearby lamp and smashed the glass. Behind her, the chair scraped as the basement door began to give way. Melissa climbed through the broken window, cutting her arms on the jagged edges, but she didn't stop. She hit the ground running, the cold air burning her lungs. She didn't stop until she reached her car. Jumping in, she locked the door and fumbled with her keys, her hand shaking uncontrollably. Behind her, she saw the two men burst out of the house, their faces obscured by darkness. Engine roared to life and Melissa floored the gas pedal, the tires scratching as she sped down the street. She didn't stop until she was back in the safety of her apartment, the memory of Ella's hunting whispers and the sight of her lifeless body etched into her mind. Later, when she called the police, they confirmed her worst fear. Ella had been dead for hours before Melissa arrived. The two men had likely been there all along, waiting for a chance to escape unnoticed. But that didn't explain the vision of Ella at the hallway, warning her to run. Melissa quit Instacart the next day. No amount of money was worth facing the horrors of that house again. And that night haunt her. And it will haunt her for the rest of her days.